couple is Emem and Ikechi. So,
yes, crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy. So, Emem meets up with her friends, including Chrissy, who was there at their housewarming party.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're catching up the other friend on what happened at the housewarming party. And so Chrissy recalls that Ike called Emem aggressive, and she notes that everything that he said about her being aggressive was just being direct. And he always has the excuse of like, I don't know you, but then he wants to know her. It's just like this weird thing that he's doing, or excuse to get out of like the marriage, I think. And they reminisce, and they talk about, not reminisce, but they noted how, or Emem talks about how he likes to go to bed at 9, things like that. And
she comes home probably.
Yeah, and they ask about, they really question if she can really be her genuine self, and she doesn't know whether she can be her genuine self, because when she goes to talk to him about doing more in the relationship, or him kind of like giving more effort and things like that, he talks about, he calls her too aggressive. So she's kind of afraid of being called too aggressive. So she's kind of backed down a little bit, which is kind of sad. Doesn't really get to be, herself. I don't know. Do you why does he keep saying she's aggressive? Like, I mean, I guess we'll find out, but.
Because she's attracted to him, and he's not. And I feel like to him that feels like she's in his space.
Yeah.
And he just feels like there's an alien where it doesn't belong. I don't know. But he seems to put on a front like of tolerance, which you could see right through.
Yeah.
And it's just a veil. It's just like it's hard to stomach watching Emem put herself out there.
I know.
And he's just making excuses and all this stuff. It's crazy.
And that veil does get unveiled, because the next scene we see that Emem does like a self-cam, and she talks about how things got testy the night before. They were at a restaurant, and she's saying, what did you do to prepare for marriage? And then he starts yelling at her to the point where people are looking around, and she didn't know, how they got from, being happy to be around one another to like not talking. And I'm just thinking, like, he's yelling, like, who's the aggressive one actually? Yeah. So they meet up with Dr. Pia, and it's the coldest interaction I've never seen. Like, Ike was kind of faking it at first, and now he's not faking it anymore. He's just like being his petty.
So they
self.
arrive there separately. Emem's there first. Pia meets her, and then he comes separately from work or somewhere. Yeah. And then the only thing he says is, "It's been a long day."
Yeah. He's like, "What do you do on a bad day?"
To help yourself, or
And
he doesn't even answer.
He says like, "Oh yeah, like I go to the gym, I talk to somebody that looks me up." She's like, "Is Emem that?" And he's like, "Nope, not at the moment." She's not that person. Yeah. And Pia's like, "Well, what do you?" He's like, "I need to be fixed." And I don't know. I like how Pia
fixed.
Yeah, Pia checks him, because just like, are we gonna do these passive aggressive, snarly type of
Can we agree to not use this?
Yeah. And then he talks about how he's, they try to get to the root issue, and he's talking about, he kind of says that, or the whole aggressive thing, but he, I guess he's saying he feels uncomfortable with her, I guess, unwanted, sexual initiations, but he kind of made it seem like it was like she was like, full on.
Yeah, like
not assault, but yeah.
Like he was Johnny Depp and she was Amber Heard.
Yeah.
Or something like that. He made it sound like it was like she was aggressive, like not just like in his space, but like in a much more invasive way.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it goes that far. If anything, it's just she's occupying the space that he's not used to sharing.
Yeah. He said he feels like a piece of meat. Like, okay, that's far. Like, that's really far. I guess and what she said is that when they were on the honeymoon, she had put her hand on his like leg, and then he put it towards his private part, which was he initiated the putting on that.
He advanced.
So she kind of felt like, you know, that was a normal thing to do. He talks about how she keeps kissing him or things like that. And I don't know, he just made it seem like a lot like crazier than it was. But Pia asks, or also, sorry, one more thing is that Ike also says, like, you know, well, I want to get to know her, and I don't know her, but I want to get to know her. He keeps saying that, and he's like, what's it going to take to get past this? He's like, time.
Like, one word answers the whole time.
And then it gets to the point where, you know, Pia asks if they can forgive one another and take it back to square one. But I don't really remember him apologizing for anything, honestly.
Nope.
No, she ends up apologizing and was like, whatever. And then Emem says, yeah, I can forgive him because I know he's a good person. And, you know, she believes he wants to be married. And she apologizes for being too much. And I'm like, that's so sad. Like that. Like being too much because you, like, you know, want to get to know your husband. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy because they both looked at the contract of like what they were going to get involved in, what that meant. And also, like, I feel like the experts did their best to like try to pair people together in a way that they are compatible at least. But this is like the opposite of that. He's very testy and it doesn't make any sense, like where this anger is coming from. Because he's pent up and it's all facade and I think it's just falling apart.
Yeah. And so when Emem says that, or she apologizes, he says he feels good hearing that and they're going to kind of go back to square one. And then, so the next scene we see her, I don't know what she is. She's some type of practitioner. She's doing something with skin. I don't know. But like, they talk and they say, and then he does, I guess, end up apologizing and say he doesn't mean to embarrass her. And then Emem says, well, I just don't really know like where to move. Like, I need you to lead and direct because she doesn't know how to act because it always makes him uncomfortable. And she asks if there's anything for her to do to get to know him better. And he said to enjoy the nothingness. I'm like, what does that mean? It sounds like you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. Have your cake of claiming that you don't know her and saying that you want to get to know her. And so he's kind of at a place where it's like if she tries to advance, he's like, I don't know you. But then he always puts the whole platitude, I want to get to know you. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, I thought like it maybe was being philosophical, like enjoy the nothingness, like enjoy the being present and just meditating or just enjoying the space that we have. But on the other side of the coin, I think that could be read as enjoy that I have nothing to give you.
Yeah.
Or let's just be fine with us not moving anywhere.
Right. That's how it feels.
Yeah. And
so,
it's a negative
space
for her to be in.
Yeah. She deserves way.
Unless he does step up and actually open up somewhere somehow. Yeah.
All right. So next couple is David.
Our favorite couple.
And David and Michelle. Not our favorite couple.
So here again, it looks like David still hasn't found the Blair Witch. He's still like into the camera like it's all up in his nostrils, given his talking head, where he talks about wanting to do things more with Michelle in order to continue to build some kind of rapport. And at this point, that's all it is a rapport. Part of that challenge beyond just the lack of attraction on Michelle's part is just their schedule. They're literally ships in the night, they said, where, which is, I feel like, with that, they're not even giving each other the time to connect. And that seems one-sided here because Michelle is really stonewalling really hard on basically the basis of like, he's everything I want, but he reminds me of where I left behind, which is, it seemed like financial insecurity. And now everything that he is reminds her of that past. So she's like stonewalling. And that gets unveiled when they have a deeper conversation. But and she can't really seem to bring those words to David himself. Dr. Pia kind of guides her to see it that way. And then just to fast forward a little bit further down this timeline here, then they do talk about it. And David seems genuinely like that's insight, because like they literally have no rapport that has gone to that depth without Dr. Pia's help. So they do fun things, and they seem to have some kind of rapport, but I can't tell like how much of it is her acting, how much of it is any kind of rapport, or if it's just the cameras that are making her like put on a front.
She always has this laugh, she's like ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I'm not sure what's going on in her mind when she's doing that. One of the things they do for fun is that they end up going bowling, right? They took a bowling class, or they don't take a bowling class. They actually go bowling with some of David's friends, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, she's kind of nice and polite at first. I mean, not at first. I mean, I guess the whole time, but they kind of get into the like more of the nitty gritty about like, you know, what do you think about him? She's like, yeah, he's nice. But then, you know, she also talks to him about the things that to the friends about the things that she doesn't like about him, and like not being like attracted to him, and you know, the living with the family, the cursing in front of just all the things that she doesn't really like. And you could see, like, I think David has a talking head. He's like, she's gonna bring this up like again, like, you know, in front of my friends. And I think the friends were nice. They have his back. They're like, if I were you, like, you know, I'd be like thinking like David is, I don't know what they say, but they're just hyping him up.
Yeah,
they're
like, and it seems genuine, and like they're not just trying to make him look good, but like they actually do care about him and see the sides of him that she's not seeing. Yeah, they'd be like, I'd be lucky to have somebody like, I don't know if they said that, but something like that. So yeah, I think the best part from the conversation with Dr. Pia is later they have in that conversation where they're all three of them are together, David, Michelle, and Dr. Pia. Dr. Pia brings out the talking head of I guess their application for like for the whole experiment, where they shared what exactly do you want, what are you looking for, and she word for word like listed
everything.
Exactly what David was, like someone who lights up a room, like who's like charismatic and you know, athletic, I think she said, and all these things, and cares about family, is respectful, is, you know, and can make her feel cared for. So it stopped there. Like when they didn't really talk about. Did she get a chance to see David?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's like somebody that, like, you know, speaks her mind, like holds me, you know, holds me to account. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Smart, independent. So they're like, you could see they were matched because they gave descriptors of the exact person that's opposite of them. Right. Yeah.
But then it's interesting because Michelle's like, once they both get shown the videos, she's like, I don't know, I don't like where this is going, and she gets pulled aside, or not pulled aside. David has to go leave so they could talk again, and she's like, is this where you call me out? She's like, I'm not. Why do you feel that way? I love how Pia is just like, she never gets like, she's just kind of like, why do you feel that way? Like always like asks instead of matching her at that. So she's like, girl, I've been telling you, you're not giving yourself an opportunity for a connection. And you know, is it just something more than a financial element? And like, they talk about, you know, I think they bring him back in and they talk about the misunderstanding about simple life. Like, cause he just thinks simple life is, you know, just
easygoing. Yeah.
And she sees it as like, oh, I worked this hard, I'm gonna call it simple, like basic. Like I think she sees that as
in the material way, but there's value.
Yeah. I thought something else that I thought about, because they have a one-on-one before they meet with David, was the fact that, like, about contributing, I guess, like how can he, like, I guess, I don't know, maybe I think it's like support her, and she's like, he can't support me, like it's only financial. And feels like, he can support you in other ways than financial, right? She's like, oh no.
I don't know what you mean. Yeah. There's no other way that a human being can contribute to anyone else's life except for financially.
Yeah. So I mean,
and then she lists it like emotional security.
Yeah.
That was the essence of it. Like he can give you security.
Yeah, he can cook things like
cook,
that.
Yeah, and
he cares about family, so he'll take care of you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it though. I mean, that financial. I don't know what his job situation. I mean, they might have talked more about like what he actually does, and maybe she doesn't feel secure in that. So I understand that, but it's just to keep blowing it over the head like every single week. It's a lot. So we'll see about them. So now let's go on to our last couple, our favorite couple.
Second favorite.
Oh gosh.
Just kidding. Definitely our favorite.
Camille and Thomas. So
I'm glad this season, as I've been watching, we've been watching this together. I feel like I like that every episode so far they kind of end with Camille and Thomas.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's always they're always making progress. Yeah. They're even if they take a step back, they always move forward more spaces than they went back.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's always an upbeat that kind of leaves the show on a positive note with Camille and Thomas. That's why they're my favorite.
Yeah.
So I forget where they left off. Can you?
So they talk about they start after that game that they had, the game where they played with all the couples of football. They Camille recalls that he was in the opposite team of her, and that he pushed her down so that he could get the touchdown. So she shows that he has a competitive spirit. He also strained a quad and a hammy. I didn't know those were. I mean, I heard quads and hammy. I have it too. It's just a funny name. And so then she stretched them out. And that was nice of her. It's nice that they, got more familiar with each other and their bodies. Yeah. And then Camille asked Thomas how he feels about them. I think they were just kind of bookending the blackness conversation. He says, being a black person is one thing, but he had never thought about the fact that being a black woman is a little bit different and a lot just a different experience and can be a lot tougher. So Camille says it's never been like if you don't do this, I'll leave you. That she doesn't want to change him. She likes him. And he likes her too. And Thomas was insecure at first, thinking that she didn't like him, but it's nice to know that she does. Yeah. Can you see that she likes him?
Yeah, well, I feel like I would identify with how Thomas kind of held back out of being resistant to show a connect more, because he didn't really know how she was feeling. That wasn't obvious to her, and it seems like there are signs and whatever, but they never really spoke it or said it.
Yeah,
and then the race thing came an issue, and then it kind of took them a step back. But then I feel like their last conversation left them on a good note, where they could bookend, well, now I know what you think. I see that it's multidimensional for you, even though we're both of the same mixed race, basically. That it's still even deeper because you're the experience of gender for her. And I feel like Thomas acknowledging that helps her to move forward from it.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't stop mentioning swag, that's important for her.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever go away. So.
And I feel like that's not just a race thing. I feel like it's just her style. Yeah. And I feel like it's also something that attracts her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So then she comes home to candlelights and rose petals, and he has champagne for her, and he's gonna give her a massage. He's the masseuse. And so so they're massaging each other and stuff like that. And she talks about how the massage is good for talking about sexual connection, and he says, he's ready, but he's just waiting for her when she feels comfortable. And then they go into a room. So we're left to, to fill in the blanks. Yeah. So then Pia comes to their house. This is not right after or anything. It's probably like a few days later. So then Thomas talks about how he feels safe with her. Camille says that he's sweet, and they did share that they consummated the marriage. Woo. So she asked if they have boundaries in their sex life, and Camille says, as long as the communication is there, she's open to doing anything. And Thomas is like, oh wow, I've never heard that before.
And then she says, whips and chains.
Yeah.
Or not, what was it?
Yeah, that's what she said. I was like, oh wow, okay.
But as long as they're communicating, I think they're going to continue to connect.
So Pia asked what it takes for them to get to the next level, to the L word. And Thomas says that he holds the L word in high regard. He wants to make sure all the groundwork is laid for it to feel right. Pia asks what he's been afraid of, and he says he doesn't like to put themselves out there and then, people are gone. And I honestly think he was maybe thinking about his dad in that sense, so it might not just be romantic relationships, but just like, just relationships in general.
Yeah.
I think Camille said something about it's him taking a lead role that she'll, fall in love or grow to say the L word. So, let's see. Also, Thomas comments on how he feels lucky, how he doesn't deserve like a partner like Camille just because he's not been a good partner in the past. And we do know that he's cheated in the past. So I hope that, this is...
In the distant past, right?
Distant? I mean, I think it was probably like 4 years. Like he was single. He had been single for like 4 years or something, right? Since that.
I guess for me that qualifies as distant.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to think of Thomas as somebody like that because he's just so nice. Like, not to say that nice people can't cheat, but yeah, and that always far from my mind when I think of him or when I see him because he seems kind of genuine.
But I think that's the issue with non-confrontational people is that they'll like cheat, but they'll have the idea that they weren't right together before that, but because it's so hard for them to bring that conflict up, that it kind of comes across that way. Yeah, and that's the issue for both of them, which is why it's something they need to be vigilant of. But also, he seems to have done the work before meeting her. Like he's not using this opportunity with Camille to work that out. Yeah. Luckily for both of them.
Yeah, that's good. Camille says love for her is for her to be able to be her true self, and that will help her fall in love fast. And when she gets to a point where she can't see her life without the person, like that's gonna be when she does that. So I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
Then they go to a store, I think it's YSK or something like that, for some earrings. And they recall him like in another flashback saying that he's opened the earrings. So he goes to get his ears pierced. Or I don't know if he goes to get his ears. I don't know if he already had. I think
he had them because it wasn't like they had the whole.
Oh yeah, so he already had his ears pierced, I guess. And then she puts a chain on him too, and she's like trying to make this. She's like, "Ooh, that's enough to swag meter." And I gotta say, he looked good. Looked good, didn't you think?
Yeah, he looked like The Rock with that meme, but without the fangs back. Yeah.
I was like, I want you to get some.
Yeah, maybe. If we can afford it. We can see what happens, yeah.
I was like, oh, it's nice. And then they they're standing in front of the mirror, and it's like,
then they do the whole,
But he did look good with those. So, I mean, that's cool. I mean, yeah, I think that's, as long as people are on the same page, that could be, a fun thing. So,
and I think that's helping her to see that she can live a life where she would miss him. Yeah. Or how did she phrase it?
That she can't see her life without him.
Yeah, she can't see her life without him.
So it's proud of them. Feels like they turned a corner and they've been intimate. So cool. Like, we'll see. I'm really rooting for them.
Yeah.
And with that, that's the end of our couples, the end of the episode. And appreciate you guys watching. We'll be here. Oh, I think the show's going to take 2-week break because of the holidays. So see you in 3 weeks.
Yeah, next year.
Yep, next year.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. See you.
Till next year.
And
cut.